What's happening? Epic Conversation, Red Pill Bible Study. Uh, I'm picking up right here with the story of Joseph. Last time I went on the aside and kind of just touched on different topics. But today we're getting into the story of Joseph. So get your Bible out and we're going to Genesis chapter 39. I may not read like the entire chapters, but I'm going to get us through most of the story of Joseph. And I'm going to read a little bit and then just go into the breakdowns. This is a real good one. It's a real deep one. Also, before I get into that, about the music, I had people like kept on pressuring me. You understand? Hey, man, put the music. Once you put your music on YouTube before we can get it, push it, because my partner and them and everybody that know me, they've been saying for years, man, put your music. I wouldn't put my music on YouTube. I wanted my own platform that I own and control. But I just said, hey, they steady hollering for it. And they like, man, you being selfish. You being greedy, man. You trying to control it. Give it away. You understand? The music is good. Give it away. So that's what I started doing. Because I'm big on control, man, as far as us having our own platforms like YouTube, Facebook, any other social media sites that we don't own ourselves. We can put some good work on there. They can be taken down. And I didn't like that. I didn't like somebody else having control over if somebody get to hear my stuff. You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? All this is bigger than me or my little old ego. So I put it out there and people glad that it's out. And I hope y'all enjoy it. Let's go to Joseph though. The premise is that the Most High God, the Creator, and the Lord are two different beings. My premise is that the Lord is in fact Satan, and that the purpose of the Bible is to reveal that to you. But because of the way that the Bible is routinely taught, it's missed. And so I'm just showing you, I'm finna get into it. Let me read. Bear with the reading, y'all. This is Genesis chapter 39. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. So let me just catch y'all up. Joseph is one of the sons of Israel, one of the 12 sons of Israel. Joseph's brothers got jealous of Joseph. Joseph found out that one of his older brothers was messing around with one of his dad's wives and told his dad about it. Fouled out with the brothers. They were going to kill him, but they decided instead to sell him into slavery. And they got his coat. His father had bought him like a colorful robe, cloak. They dipped that in blood, took it back to their father and told them that Joseph had been killed to hide the fact that they had sold the boy into slavery. So Joseph is like 17 years old at this time. The Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned from the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So he left in Joseph's care everything he had with Joseph in charge. He did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Pause. I'm busting bubbles. The Lord don't have no problem with slavery. None, zero. He don't have any problem. Later on, you're going to see the Lord tell the descendants of Israel to enslave people. The Lord has no issue with you being enslaved. So that's your God. And everything he do is good and righteous. including slavery. So quit bitching. If this is your God, if the Lord is your God, quit crying, man, about slavery and hollering about reparations, because the God that you serve sanctioned it and is 100% down with it. Here it is in your book. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater than this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" Remember, when Joseph's saying God, he's talking about the Lord. And you remember Abraham and Isaac had no problem trading their wives for material gain. But it's really real. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants was inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had run out of the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." She kept his cloak beside her until her master came home. Then she told him this story. That Hebrew slave you brought us came to me to make sport of me. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house. When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care, because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. So this is part of the reason why you have those that knowingly, that know who this being is, they worship him and do his bidding because he'll bless them with worldly material gain. Peep the story. Sometime later, the cupbearer and the baker of the king offended their master, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was angry with his two officials, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker, and put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, in the same prison where Joseph was confined. The captain of the guard assigned them to Joseph, and he attended them. I wanna go past. Let me shoot past. Joseph interpreted these two, the cupbearer and the bread maker. They had dreams while they was in prison, and Joseph interpreted their dreams. Let me read that part. "We both had dreams," they answered, "but there is no one to interpret them." Then Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dreams." So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream. And then the other dude, Joseph broke the dreams down. And everything that Joseph told them that their dreams meant, it was really real. It went down just like that. One of the dude, the cupbearer, got a promotion, or in the baker, I think he got his head cut off. He got executed, and it happened just like Joseph told him it would. 2 years passed. Joseph is still in prison, and Pharaoh, king of Egypt, ruler of Egypt, had a dream. In his dream, he had his court, nobody could interpret the dream. So they told him, hey, the cupbearer that had got the promotion that was in prison with Joseph told Pharaoh, hey, it's a dude in prison that interpreted my dream and another dude dream, and they both came to be just like the dude said in interpretation. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph and told Joseph his dream. I'm going to read that to you right quick. In my dream, I was standing on the bank of the Nile. When out of the river there came up 7 cows, fat and sleek, and they grazed among the reeds. After them, 7 other cows came up, scrawny and very ugly and lean. I had never seen such ugly cows in all the land of Egypt. The lean, ugly cows ate up the 7 fat cows that came up first. But even after they ate them, no one could tell that they had done so. They looked just as ugly as before. Then I woke up. That's part of the dream. So Joseph interpreted the dream for him, and Joseph told him, your dream means it's going to be 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of severe famine. And so let's put it down. So when he told him that, it is just as I said to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. When he says God, he's talking about the Lord. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt, but 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance of Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance of the land will not be remembered because of the famine that follows. It will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in 2 forms is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take 1/5 of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to be kept in the cities for food. This food shall be held in reserve for the country to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. Then the plan seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his officials. So Pharaoh asked them, can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? The plan seemed good. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since God has made all this known to you, and there was no one so discerning and wise as you, you shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you. Pause. I'm going to do some more reading, but let's address what we just witnessed. What we are witnessing is what's called divination. Look up, Google divination, divination, definition. Christians will tell you that divination is a sin and satanic and evil. Yet, and that the information, the knowledge that is gained from divination are from evil spirits. Ask any Christian. Joseph was able to do what he did through divination. I need you to look it up, understand what that word means, and go find your Christian and ask the Christian, what is divination? Something that Christians practice are called good. They'll tell you, no, that's a sin. That's satanic. Here you go. Here you go. Who am I telling you the Lord is? What is Joseph doing? He's practicing divination. Where is he getting his information from? A supernatural source. Oh, I'm just putting it to you plain, and this is what I'm finna get. This is gonna get political. Check this out. I want y'all to really pay attention, because I'm gonna go into this breakdown. I'm gonna stay a while on it. Hold on. Joseph, hold on. I gotta run something to you right quick. Joseph, his brothers, Israel sent Joseph's brother when a famine hit, 7 years, everything went like Joseph said, 7 years of plenty, then a famine hit. When a famine hit, Israel sent Joseph's brothers to Egypt to get some food. And there Joseph saw them, but they didn't know that was Joseph because the boy had grew up. He was like 33. He was 17 when he left. Joseph was like 33, 34. It had been like 17 years since they seen him. They didn't recognize him, but he recognized them. And they went down, but I'm not going to read over that part. It's something else I want to show y'all. But they went to Egypt a few times. And what I'm looking for, he ended up revealing himself to his brothers, Joseph and the famine. I need y'all to pay attention. I'm going to break it down for you. But I done went up to Genesis 47. I'm starting at verse 13. What I went past was Jacob reuniting with his brothers and them moving down to Egypt to be with Joseph to survive the famine. All of this has taken place in between the time I left off and now. But I'm in chapter 47 and I'm in verse 13. Genesis. There was no food, however, in the whole region because the famine was severe. Both Egypt and Canaan wasted away because of the famine. Remember, we dealing with Canaan's land and the Canaanites. Canaan have a lot to do with it. When you go into your research to dig this stuff up, to confirm for yourself, you're going to find Canaanite gods, and stuff will start coming together for you. Joseph collected, because Joseph collected all the money that was to be found in Egypt and Canaan in payment for the grain they were buying. He brought it to Pharaoh's palace. When the money of the people of Egypt and Canaan was gone, all Egypt came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Why should we die before your eyes? Our money is used up." "Then bring your livestock," said Joseph. "I will sell you food in exchange for your livestock, since your money is gone." So they brought their livestock to Joseph, and he gave them food in exchange for their horses, their sheep and goats, their cattle and donkeys. And he brought them through that year with food in exchange for all their livestock. They not forget his food. They got the food. They've been storing up food for 7 years. But it's a severe famine. And the prices went up. Y'all ain't got no more money. Okay, then bring your livestock. But hold on. When that year was over, they came to him the following year and said, "We cannot hide from our Lord the fact that since our money is gone and our livestock belong to you, there was nothing left for our Lord except our bodies and our land. Why should we perish before your eyes, we and our land as well? Buy us and our land in exchange for food, and with our land will be in bondage, and we with our land will be in bondage to Pharaoh. Give us seed so that we may live and not die, and that the land may not become desolate." So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh. The Egyptians, one and all, sold their fields because the famine was too severe for them. The land became Pharaoh's, and Joseph reduced the people to servitude from one end of Egypt to the other. However, he did not buy the land of the priests because they received a regular allotment from Pharaoh and had food enough from the allotment Pharaoh gave them. That is why they did not sell their land. Joseph said to the people, "Now that I have bought you and your land today for Pharaoh, here is seed for you so that you can plant the ground. But when the crop comes in, give a fifth of it to Pharaoh. The other 4/5 you may keep as seed for the fields and as food for yourselves and your household and your children." "You have saved our lives," they said. "May we find favor in the eyes of our Lord. We will be in bondage to Pharaoh." So Joseph established it as a law concerning the land in Egypt, still in force today, that a fifth of the produce belongs to Pharaoh. It was only the land of the priests that did not become Pharaoh's. Now, the Israelites settled in Egypt in the region of Goshen. They acquired property there and were fruitful and increased greatly in number. Pause. It's going to be on I'm going to get into the aside. They got this saying out now that you will have nothing and you will be happy. Before cities became the big thing with human, the way we live, we were subsistence farmers. Every household got out and grew what they wanted to eat. Go get you some cows and pigs or whatever. But everybody lived off what they could produce out of their land or trade. Big cities brought about taxation, brought about like this is what's going on. You have a push for the cities, for the people, so that you can't. It's harder to control a lot of people living off subsistence farming. It's hard to control them because they are completely independent of the state. They don't have to depend on the state for their sustenance or for their livelihood. They can do it on their own. Therefore, they don't have to pay taxes. With the city-state and the push for humans to move into the city-state, it had to be either an incentive or you were left with no choice. In the drought, in the famine, the people ended up becoming completely dependent on the state. They gave up when all the money was gone and all the livestock was gone. Everything belonged to the state. All the money belonged to the state. All the livestock belonged to the state. All you got now is your body and your land, but the famine is severe. Nothing is growing. You don't have much seed. So now you sell your land and you sell yourselves to the state. The state owned everything. This is the work of Joseph. The fifth that the people would take and give to Pharaoh is considered taxes. He introduced some taxation on the Egyptians. But the main thing that I'm trying to get you to follow is the control of humanity began here. This became a blueprint for every city-state. For you to be completely dependent on the state. For your livelihood, for your sustenance, and then therefore you are not free. You are dependent on the state. You cannot go out and sustain yourself without having dependent on state money, the groceries provided by the state, the protection provided by the state. You are dependent on the state for your livelihood, for your being. This is the blueprint. This is why you have the companies and corporations acquiring land, moving people off of it, putting their factories on it, putting they malls on it. It's so that you won't be able to depend on that land. You're going to have to depend on that store or that factory for your survival. Is to take control of you and your livelihood so that the state is in full control of everything you got going in your life. This is where it began. And it began, that is like a small scale, but this is worldwide now, all the way to the point where you have so-called third world countries that they are trying to, let me put it like this. Whenever the invaders come, they come for the land. Whenever somebody is seeking to rule over another group of people, they come for the land. Because they know once I can say that this land is mine and I get to kill you for coming on my land, I get to control you. You got to come work for me in order to reap the benefit of the land, because it's my land. So you come work my land, but the benefit of it and the profit is mine. I determine, what you're going to get. But this is where this started. This is where this blueprint began. Slavery. Yeah, Christians don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to slavery. The Lord sanctioned slavery. I actually told them to go enslave people, as we're going to read when we get to the story of Moses. Joseph forgave his brothers. He didn't, after all that they did to him, Joseph told his brother, what you thought was going to be bad worked out for the good, because the Lord blessed me and put me in position, gave me the ability to interpret dreams, and these people put everything in my hand. And it wouldn't have happened if y'all wouldn't have sent me here. And the Lord sent me here to make sure I was in position to bring y'all through this famine, because the Lord have a plan with this family. He finna take over the world with this family. And he done. Only things left are third world countries, and they coming for him. Ain't too many third worlds left, but the third world countries, they are trying to corrupt. They trying to influence their leaders with greed to get the leaders to sell them out so they can get the land and put their factories and their mines on these people's land and extract the resources. Now the people don't have nowhere to form a subsistence form to feed ourselves and be independent, because the state owns all the land. You will own nothing and you will be happy. This is where this is coming from, y'all. This is the blueprint. And once they have you completely dependent on the state, you're not free. You can't be. You work for them, and you're gonna always work for them. It's theirs. You can't own money. You got a mortgage, and you probably have a car note. You don't own nothing. The state owns everything. It's everything belongs to the state. It may not be presented or put to you in those terms, because they want to maintain the illusion that you are free. But from the story I just read, even those people understood back then, once we become completely dependent on the state, we are slaves. Yeah, we're going to work, we're going to get paid, and we're going to be able to do our thug. But essentially, we are under control of the state by way of this famine that came through. And that was what caused the people to sell themselves off to the state, the famine. Divination, it's just plain, man. I don't even really have to explain or describe. If you've ever been told that divination was evil or satanic, and you're going to have to ask Christians, then you consider one of your prophets, one of your patriarchs, one of your great men practiced divination and was very good at it. Christians have a way of saying everything that the people they revere was good, and everything that the God that they serve is good, even though it is clearly enslavement. It's good if God do it, and if the prophets that worship that God do it, they can enslave and lie and cheat and steal all they want to. It's just us that can't do it, I guess. But the story of Joseph it was my favorite story. It's one of my favorite stories because of what Joseph went through. His brother selling him out, him being in prison for something he didn't do for years and years and years, getting out of prison, getting into politics, and ending up taking over the state. Ending over taking over the people for the benefit of the state. Pharaoh, for the benefit of Pharaoh. And there was I don't know, that was real deep to me because it's similar to a lot of our stories. We'll go through some stuff, get locked up at a young age. But the difference is a lot of us in ignorance will say the Lord in ignorance, but we mean the Most High. That's what we thinking, the Most High. But what we're referring to is ignorantly, in ignorance, is the being that these people call their God. And you heard that term, Lord, 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 have mercy. Lord, Lord, Lord. And so you just repeated it. You didn't ever investigate what it meant, where it came from. The story of Moses is going to break that down for you. But it was never, so I understand we're not going to get into what's the word, the semantics. I know when most people say Lord, what they mean. My job is to inform and warn. Lord mean master. You don't have one here unless you physically make someone your master. But in this world, in this domain, you are the master. You. If a Christian tell you that divination is wrong and divination is satanic, you might be in the zodiac signs and astrology, or you may be in a tarot card reading. All of these are different forms of divination. And before Christianity, when people practiced divination and it came true, they were seen as good people, prophets, holy people. Christianity is of the view that this is satanic and evil. So you're going to have to ask your Christian brothers and your Christian friends about Joseph and his divination and see how they justify that. And look up the word first so you can have a full understanding of what divination is, and then you'll see what Joseph was doing. And then you'll understand why Joseph went from doing that, being divining, to enslaving the country. You're a slave if you dependent completely on dollars for your survival. You're a slave. You're a comfortable slave, but you are one. If without money, you can't go grow no food, you can't provide shelter, protection from the elements, health care for you and your loved ones, you're a slave. So I'm trying to wake people up. I'm not saying cities are evil. Governments are evil. I'm not saying that things are different. If you live in a city, it has to be a collective agreement among the people that live in the city. A lot of times people come together for protection. People come together to share resources. And when they come together for protection and share resources, they got to make up rules. This is how we're going to do our thing for our organization. And it grows. I think this is a natural phenomenon. The difference is when the famine hit and they knew that the famine was coming and they was getting everything ready, the people weren't prepared. Joseph, the Pharaoh, and their house was prepared. The people weren't prepared. So when they started running out, and they go to Pharaoh, hey, what's going on? This is the solution. Give me your stuff in exchange for this food that we've been saving. And when it was all said and done, people had full bellies, and Pharaoh had everything else. Sound familiar? Came in, they got the book, they gave the people the book, And they took everything else. The bread of life. They gave you the bread of life. And you got the bread. And they got everything else. Oh man. This is the blueprint. This is where they mode of operation come from, y'all. This is where it all started. We ain't got out the book of Genesis yet. But I'm just showing you who these people are. The type of things they practice, and I'm showing you about the God that they serve, the Lord. I'm showing you who he is and what he's really about. So far I've demonstrated, if you've been following me through these videos all this time, I've demonstrated he's not omnipotent, he's not all-knowing. He do stuff and it don't work. He's never finished working. And he's down with slavery, and he will aid in divination. If you need to divine the future, you can call on him and he'll show you what the future will hold. It's called divination. Some people call it black magic, dark magic, voodoo, whatever. That's what it is. It shouldn't be too much of a shock. You bathe yourself in blood and participate in a satanic ritual of eating flesh and drinking blood. So Joseph practicing divination and enslaving the whole country. I mean, come on, it's par for the course. If you are able to read this book in perspective and get it, things come together, things make sense. But try having to wrap your brain around, this is a being. The Lord is supposed to be all good all the time. How can he sanction slavery? And if God is down with slavery, if the Lord that you call God is down with slavery, why are you down there hollering about it? Joseph said it was the best thing that happened to him. Later on, the descendants of Joseph are going to be told, listen, man, once you go over there in the city over there, once you kill everybody, the ones that you don't kill, go ahead and you can enslave them. This is the Lord that you call your God. I'm telling you, this is Satan, and what he does is satanic, and everything that's dealing with him, worship me or else, and enslaving people. Bow down and get down. And I just want to make it plain as I keep going through these stories, man. We're gonna finish up with Joseph next time, and I'm gonna go off into Moses. And that's when the Lord is gonna reveal himself to Moses and tell him his name and what that name means. But really, to paraphrase, kind of breeze through it a little bit. After that, you got, after Joseph in the famine, Jacob and Joseph, both Jacob, who is Israel, he dies in Egypt. Jacob ended up blessing, before they die, they got this tradition, they give the blessings. Israel give his 12 sons their blessings. Let me read some of this. I'm on 48, Genesis chapter 48. I'm going to read a little bit. Sometime later, Joseph was told, your father is ill. So he took his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, along with him. When Jacob was told, your son Joseph has come to you, Israel rallied his strength and sat up on the bed. Jacob is Israel. Jacob said to Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan. And there he blessed me and said to me, I am going to make you fruitful and will increase your numbers. I will make you a community of peoples, and I will give this land as an everlasting possession to your descendants after you. Talking about the land of Canaan. Also, to re-emphasize, they are dealing, when they say God and God Almighty, they dealing with somebody they looked at like, you can see me. They was looking and talking to each other. They dealt with each other. I need that they saw who they call God Almighty. It's important that I always bring this to you and make you aware of the fact that the Most High is a spirit and no man has ever seen him. The Most High don't come down here to earth and give no orders. We are his representatives on earth. We give the orders. He has even the angels, they are ministers to us, for we are the rightful rulers here. But the Lord appeared to Abraham like, I'm the big kahuna, and bow down. That's not our Father. That's not the Most High. How you know that? Because no man has ever seen God at any time. So whoever that is that they saw couldn't have been. He couldn't have been. And if he was an angel, he wasn't doing the will of the Most High, because he got down here and wanted to be worshiped. Here. The Most High is the spirit. Those that worship him in spirit. He down there in the flesh, receiving it, wanting his, and instructing and giving commands and punishing, cursing. They dealing with it. That's the difference between the Most High and the Lord. The Lord will come, is down here physically working. Ain't nobody ever seen the Most High, because he's a spirit. He don't manifest. He don't say can't. We can't perceive the spiritual realm from the physical realm. We can't even perceive it. But that's where the Most High exists. When we deal with the Most High, y'all, we go to him in spirit. We don't look for him on earth. He don't appear to you anywhere in this world. You got to deal with him in the spirit, period. They are following the Lord who they saw. And he is down with slavery 100%. That's why I be like, I laugh at people and when they be hollering about the evils of slavery. It's wrong for the ownership of another human being. Yeah, it's completely backwards, because our Father, the Most High, told us to subdue the earth and be fruitful and multiply, have authority and dominion, rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of. So for us to sell ourselves to another human being's control, whether we are us, is completely against the command of the Father that told us to rule and have dominion and subdue the earth. We are being subdued and ruled over. We don't even have, we done gave up our domain. We don't have, they come in your house. You don't have, they'll come in your house because of the state and the laws of the state. You don't have a dominion. You don't have a domain. They'll come in your house if they feel like it and snatch you up and put you in jail. It's the laws of the land. Yeah, you don't have no dominion. The fruitful, physically fruitful, yeah. Spiritually fruitful, no. We ain't in the bearing of fruits of the spirit. We in the lying, cheating, stealing, and killing for money and clout. He ain't into being fruitful. Physically, so having just pumping babies everywhere, we into that. But far as trying to be fruitful, I mean, we don't admit when we wrong. We don't want to be held accountable. We don't exercise no authority, dominion, or rule. We let people exercise authority, dominion, and rule over us. Looking for somebody to bow to. Oh, tell us what to do. You got people that think, man, that the world just will end without money. If we just did away with the dollars and we came up with another system of trade from all the technology we got, we can come up with a real thorough bartering system all the technology we got, all the skill that we've acquired over the years of this human species being on this earth, it's no reason for the levels of poverty we experience and see, other than just plain out greed. It's just greed. So we fight greed. How you fight greed? Turn down their money. Do the work because the work need to be done. Keep your money. It don't have no value. And it will decrease in value. You don't got to do no tricking, nothing dastardly, nothing underhanded. You don't got to do none of that. You are worth more than money. But we going to have to start thinking for ourselves, y'all. Especially when it comes to this book, because you are shackled. I'm telling you, they got you in the shackle with this book around your brain. And you won't even think when it comes. You won't think when it comes to this book. You refuse to. It's too many times I hear people say, I ain't never thought. When somebody tell you they have never thought about it like that, what they are telling you is, I only accepted what I heard. I just heard it. I accepted it. I never thought about it at all. I just saw it was popular. Everybody was doing it, so I assumed it had to be right. And I ain't never think about it. I just went unless everybody's doing it. My family doing it. I look up to them. I love them. I know they mean me some good. They ain't trying to lead me off the cliff. So I just went with it. You've never thought about it. So that's why it sounds so crazy. It might sound crazy. It might sound backwards to you because this is independent thinking. I have original thoughts. I don't watch a lot of TV. I guard the thoughts that are being pumped out here in the ether. I don't let all those thoughts in my mind. I guard it. I think for myself. I don't allow people to think for me. That's the first red flag. When somebody tell you don't think, you need to get away from that. If they telling you not to think, God gave you the Most High, our Father, gave us the capacity, gave us a mind. And with that mind, we are like the Most High. Use your mind. This ain't how you like the Most High. This is dirt. This is how you are like the earth, your mother. Mother Nature. This that you can't see, touch, taste, smell, or hear is how you are like the Most High. In your mind, you can be in the past, present, and future at the same time. In your mind, ain't no limitations on where you can go, what you can be in your mind. You hear a voice, but there ain't no sound. You see in there, but only there. That's how you like the Most High. And the things that you think, you can make manifest in reality through your labor, through your work. And the thing that you thought of manifesting in reality is the payoff. The work that you're doing along the way is a disciplining and learning to give you wisdom, to give you patience, to give you understanding, to make you appreciate manifesting what you thought of. And when you manifest, that's your payment. That's your compensation. And then added blessings on top of that, when other people can make use of what you made manifest in reality. Before I came on here and started putting it, this didn't exist. This video didn't exist. The videos I made, this is a brand new, entirely new creation that came from my mind. I thought about this, and now I'm saying it and manifested into reality. And the payoff is fulfilling, because I know I'm somebody gonna hear it. It's gonna spark them to start thinking and investigating and wondering, and they'll free themselves. Starting here, they'll start beginning to free themselves, and then started going about how to make themselves independent like we supposed to be. I'm not saying we can't come together, but it's a dangerous thing to make yourself completely dependent on the state and their currency only, because if it loses value, only thing left that does have value is the land and the people. But the state owned all the land. It's a dangerous thing. With this pipeline with this Ukraine and Russia, there was a pipeline that ended up being sabotaged. They was getting a lot of their gas. Europe, Germany is getting a lot of their gas from Russia. Pipeline being messed up and held that up, and winter is approaching. It's never good to be completely dependent on anything outside of yourself. We need each other. We do. He made us like that. We ought to operate as male and female. We're not to be alone. But we should not be dependent completely on the government, a religion, an ideology. No. That's gonna lead to you not having anything. Not having anything. That's what that's gonna lead to eventually. Oh, this one right here, like I said, this is when I was thinking about the story of Joseph. What really stood out to me. I was like, oh man, it's the blueprint. This is what they do. This is how they acquire. That's why when the slaves got free here, they didn't want to give the 40 acres and the mule, because then that would mean you got a whole group of people with the means to be completely independent of the state. They won't need us. If they got their own land, they already been growing all our food for all this time, so they ain't gonna have to figure out how to grow it. They made all the inventions. Slave master took the patent, but they was the one doing the work. So of course they was the ones figuring out how to make the work easier. You gonna give these people land and a mule? What they gonna need us for? What will they need us for? Don't give them no land. No. Build some factories on that land. Put some malls on that land. Put some grocery stores on that land. Don't give it to them. That's going to lead to them being independent. That's going to lead to them not needing the state for nothing. They don't want to form their own country. We can't have that. We need our slaves. Yeah, that's where it came from, y'all. The story of Joseph and the famine is the first example of people becoming slaves or indentured to the state. That's how it went. And they made it through. And this is he could have gave them food. He could have gave it to them. Could have gave it to him, y'all. But no. Give me your land first. Give me everything you got. You want to eat, you better give it to me. That's the same thing with Jacob and Esau. It's called greed. Because the people had nothing. So if they don't have nothing, you already got all their money, you already got all their livestock. Come on now, I need y'all to think. You already got all the money, you already got all the livestock. What are you getting in exchange? I'm going to just give you this for what you get in exchange. They don't got nothing to give you other than it's here. They are in servitude. I serve you now. I owe you here. Because they didn't exchange. They still didn't have nothing. It ain't like the land all of a sudden. It just became pharaohs. They didn't get nothing in exchange for it right then and there. And they got taxed. And from now on, whatever you grow on this land that we allow you to grow on, you got to give us a fifth of it from now on. The storehouses should have been stored up for the people to be able to eat without going broke. The price is called inflation. They'll let inflation, once inflation hit, that's where a lot of revolts come from, because people can't buy food and can't do the things they need to do to survive, and so they revolt because you take a pay cut. It's not your fault that your money is worth less. If you go to work today and you work 8 hours, and you work 10 hours, 12 hours, and you go hard, and you do everything you're supposed to do, and you get off work, and you go to get you some gas, and gas is $2.98 a gallon. And then you go to work tomorrow, and you go to get some gas, and gas went up to $3.15 a gallon, and you just took a 17-cent pay cut through no fault of your own. That's just the way this thing is set up. But I'm telling you, like the blueprint, the greed come in when you value the land and the resources over the people that make it valuable. That's called greed. Most high thinking. Let's go to this most high thinking. I know that my people are more valuable to me than their resources and their goods, because my people are the ones that's going to make the resources in the land valuable. As a leader, I need to be a servant. It's time for me to serve my people. My people hungry. Let's make sure they fed so my people could continue to do the work that's needed to make the country great. And all they needed was food. But the greed factor is really real. I'll give you some food, but you got to become my slave. Think about it. It's called greed. We got plenty. We've been stacking up for 7 years. We got plenty. Ain't all the food that we've been stacking up for 7 years, it's the people's. It belonged to y'all. It was they took a fifth of everybody's stuff and put it up. It is theirs anyway. And this is the blueprint. That's why I say they sit back and laugh at, man, they be laughing at us, man. They be laughing. We just so quick to bow down and give them control, and they just laugh. So, yeah, man, quit dick riding for dollars all the time. But that was a real drastic situation. Pharaoh by means of Joseph enslaved the people. It's going to be ironic because when we get to the story of Moses, I'm sorry, man, I don't mean to laugh, but when we get to the story of Moses, these people are going to be enslaved. They're going to be slaves. And they's not going to be with it. So they can thank Joseph for the condition. The blueprint. He gave them the blueprint. So I'm going to encourage everybody to independent thinking. Please think. Don't just accept information without investigating it, without exploring it. I'm going to continue. Next time we pick up, I'm going to pick up with the story of Joseph, the rest of it. And we're going to get into the story of Moses. Moses means he who is drawn from water. I think Joseph means doubly fruitful. Each name have a meaning. I encourage you to look up the meaning of the names and the places. I've read to you from Genesis chapter 47 and 48 today. I talked to you about the Lord and how he's different from the Most High. I talked to you about how Joseph practiced divination. And I talked to you about how Joseph enslaved the Egyptian people. Oh, I think that's about it. I think that's all I want to cover today. This is Epic Conversation, Red Pill Bible Study. I think I'm going to call this the story of Joseph. Peace.